Hello, welcome to the Eclectic Reader. Listen to great books and stories while you use your eyes and hands for other things. Now here's your host, Madison Mason.
Hi everyone, Madison Mason here. I'm so glad you're enjoying the Eclectic Reader and the Great Quarry Boys. We're 2/3 of the way done with the book. We're at chapter 44. The Great Quarry Boys, chapter 44, Slick Jonas. God damn, there's gotta be more to life than this here one-whore town. I'm bored shitless. Johnny Malcolm threw his cue down on the worn felt and pulled on his camel. I done drunk all the beer I can drink and I'm still bored. You want to drive over to Jefferson City? Maybe we can get laid or get in a fight. Hell, something. Slick was always looking for something, and he wanted to help his buddy. All right, you drive. I'll take some target practice. I need more notches on my bat. And get closer this time. Slick laughed an oily grunt, and they shuffled out of the back of the Highway 41 pool hall. In the gravel lot, Slick climbed into the truck as Johnny reached under the seat and retrieved his bat, a stolen Louisville slugger he had lifted from the Great Quarry High School baseball team. He stole it along with several pieces of equipment out of their bus after a game with Jefferson City East, while the team was in Mayville's family diner celebrating their win. He sold the balls and the catcher's equipment and 3 pairs of shoes to the colored kids over in Faithville for $20, but he kept the big slugger for his own, and it was this that he now swung in the parking lot and banged against Slick's fender. "Hey, that's my goddamn truck," Slick protested. "What's the matter? I can't hurt this piece of shit if I shoot it with my 12 gauge. Johnny snorted his contempt and climbed into the cab. He slammed the door shut with a clang and they sprayed gravel out of the lot and onto Highway 41, headed east. That night, Ed Bratcher sat in his patrol car watching the dark road with lazy attention. No one had passed for 15 minutes. This was boring duty. New mailboxes shone dully in the half moon, but something was hypnotic about the new one at 7:43. The breeze made the duck's wings rotate slowly in the moonlight as if it were really flying. Whoa, the guy could fall asleep doing this, he thought. He started the engine and pulled out as the pickup headed toward him from the distance. "Shit, there's a cop," Slick yelled, and hit the brakes a little too hard. "So what? Just slow down, jerk. Don't slam on the damn brakes for Christ's sake." Johnny slipped the baseball bat under the seat and smiled at the cop as they passed. "Evening, Officer Pig," he muttered. "My, don't them shiny new mailboxes look pretty tonight, Slick. Guess the cops are keeping close eyes on those babies. We'll give 'em a little breather. No target practice this evening, I reckon. Better head for the saloon before they close." They waited until the police car had turned off the highway and disappeared into the trees that served as a windbreak for the eastern side of the farm. Then they spun a U-turn in the night and headed back toward town. The splashing lights of the pickup clocked their speed in glistening aluminum as the proud new mailboxes sped past. Johnny and Slick met in their teens, 2 bent white boys, both doing time at the county youth farm. They considered most things beneath them, so they hung together from necessity and each recognized commonalities in the other, namely alienation, contempt, and hatred. No one else would have them. Even hardened criminals in the yard didn't like them around and turned away when they approached. Each boy eventually taught the other all he knew about thieving, lying, cons, and sucker punches, one filling in the blanks for the other. Together, the 2 sordid halves had melded into one criminal whole. Now, as grown men, they were running on the cash they managed to glean from the midnight theft of the entire safe of the Jefferson City Ice Company. Slick had found out from a drunk ice trucker in a bar about the Thursday deposit of the company payroll in the safe. The boys pried open a back window of the ice company and managed to steal the whole safe by trucking it out onto the back of Slick's pickup, throwing a tarp over it and driving away into the night. They took it out into the woods and dynamited the door open. It took 2 hours to pick up all the money scattered in the trees, But when they counted it all, they had come something close to $8,000, not counting the $2,000 that Johnny had managed to stick down his boots while Slick was off looking elsewhere. They rolled the safe over the cliff of Monmouth Quarry and watched it sink to the bottom and out of sight. Then they laughed and danced and pissed in the woods and got drunk for a week. Marlene hadn't felt well in the morning. The old man brought tea and buttered biscuits from last night's dinner to the bedside. He could tell she was in great pain. She never would complain, but to stay in bed was a rare occasion in 50 years. She was blanched and drawn, a troubled look hiding unsuccessfully behind her eyes. The gleam was fading, and the hint of lavender in her pupils that always amazed him was paler and paler now. He and Charles, his hand, went about the chores as usual. The beans were all in, and there weren't so many cows to tend these days. Mostly it was just repairs that needed doing. Days were shortening now, 5 minutes each 24 hours. Soon winter would settle in, and the crows would rule the dried cornfields with raucous bravado, black specks against the fading sun. He stood on the edge of the farm and watched the pumpkins ripen in scattered rows all the way to the woods, and he wondered, how long would it take, and how much would she have to suffer? Now Herman sat quietly and watched Marlene doze on the couch. Jackie Gleason barked from the small black and white television, but Marlene was not being entertained. She snored softly, her glasses on her nose. He felt a profound sadness as he thought of all the life they had lived. He remembered the sweet look of the fresh young girl from Minnesota like it had happened this very week. Their courtship when he had met her in the spring of 1910 at the town square dance. She was a long way from home and so different from the local Southern girls, almost foreign in her attitudes. He had wanted her as his own from the very first. He remembered the year and a half away from her when they sent him to France in the AEF to fight the Hun. He hadn't liked France, though all the other boys seemed to. He wasn't interested in the French girls either, like most doughboys were. He just wanted to be back in Gray Quarry with his Minnesota girl, his one love, his new wife. And now they were old, grown sweetly old together, and she was dying. The part of her that made her woman, Mother, his other half, was under a dark assault, so serious the doctors were grim when they discussed it, and he didn't know what to do. He was capable of so much. He knew how to farm, how to build, how to hunt, to love, to instruct. The army had taught him how to kill and trained him in demolition. But he couldn't demolish. He couldn't destroy what was killing his dear sweet girl, his heart's love. He felt weak for the first time in his life and old himself. To watch her in this pain was more than he could bear. The tender part of his soul was slowly dying with her. He leaned forward on the couch, worn elbows on his worn knees. With his head in his hands, he stared silently at the floor. The audience laughed hysterically at Jackie Gleason, but Herman didn't even look up. Out on the deserted highway, Slick Jonas pumped the truck up to 80 and grinned to himself. Johnny threw his empty beer bottle at a skinny old dog skulking along the roadside in the dark. Missed you, fucker.
We hope you have enjoyed this episode of The Eclectic Reader. Please go on to the next numbered episode to continue. Also, check us out on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. If you'd like to help support the project, you can donate under Madison Mason at Patreon. And please, check out our website, kltkrdr.com, for more information.
Hi, this is Madison Mason. I want to personally thank you for listening to The Eclectic Reader and invite you to share your experience, your thoughts, and your suggestions. We have many great books lined up for the future, but if you have requests for anything that is in the public domain, please email us at kltkrdr@gmail.com.
kltkrdr@gmail.com